to afford health care.
This is something that has bipartisan support. Majorities of Democrats, independents, and Republicans all want to see the federal government extend these subsidies for people who buy their own coverage.
According to the poll, more than 8 in 10 people say they would be concerned about the expiration of tax credits if they heard that health insurance would become unaffordable for many people who buy their own coverage. I'm Frida Ross, Arkansas News Service. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
And then the insurance rates are going to rise going to get more expensive. You have to actually many Arkansas households will lose their coverage because the president and their allies in Congress want to take away funding and help thousands of households in Arkansas buy health insurance. They would rather give billionaires and tax breaks instead of helping working families take care of their needs. The end result,
you can use that when it says extracurricular activities. You can use that. I don't mind if people find me shack.
I don't. You know what? I think
instead they would rather shut down
those are the kind of things that are the unintended consequences that when we rush through enacting the Lines Act that we really didn't really
So now go back to the site. Go back to the site where you were on the screen.
Senators call Arkansas Community Organizations today at 501.
That's crazy because if you in public schools, you can't get that.
Support for KABF 88.3 FM comes from listeners and community partners. If you're a business owner or planning an event and would like information on how it can be announced on KABF, contact our office at 501-372-6119. That's 501-372-6119.
Go back to the text. Oh yeah.
What's up, girl? He stood me up again. Again? What's up?
What have you done for me lately? And since we have our special guest, Senator Fred Love in the house, I thought that was an appropriate question for us to ask when we get ready for this conversation. But I want to make sure that you know that you are listening to Community Voices right here live at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. I am your host, the Reverend Doctor. You can call me Denise. And then we have our co-host in the house.
Don't do it, don't do it.
We have special guest, Senator Fred. And we'll talk about conversation, the community voice, and they're not the ones. We really do appreciate it, and we are grateful. Remember, Community Voices is we center Blackness in the context of the human story. So we've got a lot to talk about this morning. We got a lot for you to ask. The phone lines are already open at 501-433-0088, 501-433-0088. Tony, do you have any announcements?
I just got one announcement. Is really a shout out. I just want to shout out my oldest son, Darius Anthony Orr, and my youngest daughter, Tamara Shante Orr. It is their birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to
my son is listening in Dallas.
Hey, Darius.
He's listening, and my daughter, I think she said she was gonna listen, but I don't know if she's up or not. But that's my beginning and my end when it comes to my children. I just want to just wish them a happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Happy birthday to your children. I do have one announcement as well. Restore checks and candidate filing for county officers starts November 3rd at noon, and it ends November 12th at noon at the Greene County Courthouse. And so you are invited to restore checks and balances to this government. If you want to run for office, here is your opportunity. For more information, contact Lisa at 87. It's time for you to get ready to file. For more information, contact Lisa at 870-270-2660. I wanted to start this conversation with Janet Jackson asking the question, what have you done for me lately? And it starts off with the conversation she's having with one of her girlfriends, her friend that is a girl. And she's asking, she's like, oh girl, what you been doing? What's up? She's asking her about her relationship. And in this relationship, the partner has been very active, has been very visual, has been very vocal about his love and his care and his attention to her. But some kind of way, somewhere along the line, he just stopped. But the woman is still holding on to him, still expecting him to do all the things that he used to do. But lately, he hasn't been doing anything. And so Janet Jackson challenges her. You want to be with somebody who no longer has your best interest in mind? You want to be with somebody who's no longer caring for you? You want to be with somebody who ain't studying you no more? What's up with that? And so we have to ask the question, what have you done for me lately? And I feel like some of y'all might be asking that question too about all of the politicians. But since we got one in the house, I thought that you might want to ask him. And since he's running for governor, I want to say, wait a minute, what have you done for us lately? And what do you plan to do? So I want to just start right there with giving you the opportunity, Senator Love, to just kind of tell us what you want us to know right now. Just give us some information, whatever you want to share with the people, because this is your one time to be all by yourself, because after this, I'm going to start asking some questions.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. So, first of all, good morning again. So I guess you can frame that in many different ways. So if we talked about the legislative session, a couple of the bills that I did pass, one was Luxus Law, which really we had things going on with the disposition of dead bodies. we found that people were cutting up dead bodies and selling the body parts. Arkansas did not have a law against that. As a matter of fact, 43 other states don't have a law against that. And so here in Arkansas, we actually passed a law. One of my constituents came to me, and I actually couldn't believe it when she said that there was no law against this. But after doing research, yes, we found out there was no law against that. And so we did pass Lux's Law, which it's affectionately known as Lux's Law because her grandchild was actually born, was a stillborn child. And instead of proper cremation, what they did was they sold his body to someone in Pennsylvania, and then that person sold it to someone in Minnesota, and so that law was passed. And then another law I passed because something that impacted my wife was the fact that hair relaxers do not have labels on them, labeling the carcinogens, labeling the possible effects of using the hair products. And so I passed that law. It's Act 984, I do believe. Lux's Law is Act 200. So these are some of the laws that actually I've passed this session. And then let's go into the community. So as you all know, I'm big on public health. County in the South area, I completed that promise, and then we moved on to build another healthcare clinic. So I actually
talk to the camera.
Oh, talk to the camera.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. And so I actually built a second healthcare clinic, which was the Arkansas Children's Hospital. I led the initiative on that. But one of our latest initiatives also was a partnership and a collaboration with Women and Children's First, which is the building of the Family Justice Center. This is a one-of-a-kind center that is in Arkansas. There's probably about 50 around the nation. And basically, it's a one-stop shop for those who suffer domestic violence and human trafficking. And so that's the latest initiative. So if you ask, what have you done for me lately? I want you to daily drive and look at my work. I tell people, all you have to do, don't ask me. Don't ask anyone else. Go look at my work.
Okay, so I want to also ground this conversation, not just in Janet Jackson singing, what have you done for me lately, but also in the EJI tidbit for today. On this day, October 28th in 1958, police in Monroe, North Carolina, arrest, jail, and beat 2 Black boys after a white girl kisses them on the cheek. On this day, October 28th in 1958, police in Monroe, North Carolina, arrest, jail, and beat 2 Black boys after a white girl kisses them on the cheek. I wanted to use this particular tidbit because as I was going through your website to make sure that I was prepared for today, I felt like I was noticing quite a bit of alignment with you and the white community. And I was just wondering about some of the things that I saw. Because right here, when we talk about race relations, that's what it's talking about, race relations. A white girl kisses 2 Black boys on the cheek, and now they get arrested, they're jailed and they're beaten because there's this constant push, this constant pull to separate us and to divide us according to race, which is not even real. We know that race is a construct, but it's a very real part of our lives. And so there's this push even now in this country right now to continue to divide us across the lines of race. And so we're having these conversations about what does it mean to be in relationship with each other? What does it mean to embrace each other? And especially when we talk about the pushbacks to DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, which is DEI asks us to say, no, everyone is my neighbor. How do we live into that, into the Sawubona of oneness through our humanity? That's the question that we have to ask. And so I want to ask you a question in line with that. But first, we got a caller. Caller, you're live on the air, Kate. Caller, you're live. Caller, call me back. I see you. I'm trying to get to you. Call us back, caller. But one of the things that I noticed on your website is when you go to the page that says values and priorities, you've got you in the middle And on both sides of you, there are members of your fraternity, right? Kappa Alpha Psi. And so there are no women on the picture at all. And so when I was thinking about DEI diversity, and for me, especially if you're thinking about running for office and campaign, you got somebody telling you, look, optics are important, optics are important. And so I was wondering how do you feel about diversity in light of you showcasing these only men when you're talking about the values and priorities of your campaign? Hold on just a minute. Caller, you're live on the air, KABF at 8.3 FM. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everyone. I'm enjoying the program so far, and yes, I like what he's doing. My first address would be as far as being in the world, the end of the world. Everybody talks about the end of the world, but most people I don't really think they. I'm just saying, I didn't understand what he was talking about. The first step we have to do is realize that we all have a spot for the Creator in us. And the next phase is ending the world of ignorance of reality or truth. And I notice he's doing things in that way. He's doing things, bringing out things about what he's doing. And we all will have to recognize it's like a big well. We all hooked into the divine. You can't get around it. Where you gonna be at? So I appreciate him and what he's done with his effort. And we all got to get rid of all these ignorant ideas about this, that, yeah, I'm this and you that and all of that, because we all connected. You can't get away from it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thanks for reminding me too that I forgot to say that. So usually we say that we greet you in the spirit of Sawubona, that spirit of oneness that binds us together through our humanity. And so all of these labels, all of these identities that the world puts on us, they are irrelevant to our lives as it relates to us interacting human to human. And so how are we going to live into that oneness? And so that's what I'm asking you, Senator Love, because when I think about Christian nationalism, when we think about white nationalism, they have some core beliefs. And one of their core beliefs is to push back against diversity. And so I just thought about that when I did not see any diversity on your priorities and values page at the very top. And so I just wanted you to respond to that.
Okay, so let's take a step back and say, first of all, that was just a picture that I took. It was just one of the pictures. So that is not my fraternity. That is a group of friends.
Oh, okay.
And so therefore, so how do I, your question was, how do I?
Well, I don't have a problem with you having, I don't have a problem with you having your friends on the page. This is my concern. If you're running for office and you're asking people to support you, to vote for you, and then most of us are going to pull up your platform because we're not going to vote for somebody that we have not studied. We want to make sure that onto your website and you have a tab at the top that says values and priorities. When you click on that tab, the first picture that comes up is this picture of you and your friends in the fraternity, and it's at the top of your page. And so for me, I'm thinking, well, if you're running for office and you're running for all the people, wouldn't you want your values and priorities to include more than just men? Because that's the message that I got. And sometimes I think we don't think about what messages we are sending, even when we're not talking. And so because I thought about that, I'm thinking somebody else might have thought about that too. And so I'm asking you about diversity because there is no diversity in that particular picture.
Okay, it's just no diversity in that particular picture, but
it's the top. It's like, this is the invitation to your page, values and priorities.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I actually.
So I'm just asking you about diversity. How do you feel about diversity?
I didn't think about that with that photo, but diversity, I mean, of course, support diversity. Some of the bills that I've actually written, I've run. For instance, I run a bill for pay equity for women. And so I don't think if anybody looks at my record, they would question the issue of diversity for me. But I mean, it's a good point that you made. I would say I would consider more, but I don't think for my record that diversity has been an issue for me.
Well, let's just think about that some more, because people who are in the community, one of the things that we are also battling against is just this apathy. Like, people really aren't concerned about the political process. They really don't feel like there's any reason to vote because they have not seen the wins that we've been promised. And so it makes them feel like my vote doesn't count. And so I don't think that very many people are actually going to go and pull your record. And so that's why we have to focus on what you do present to us, what's public facing, as your website is public facing. And on your website, you spend a lot of time, I don't want to say you spend a lot of time, but it's clear to me from going through your website that faith is important to you, extremely important to you, and you are a Christian, correct?
That is correct.
So do you want to talk about your faith a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I stand on my faith. It's something that has been important in my entire life. I would say that's what I would say about my faith.
Okay, we have a question right here before I respond to you. Here's Lo asking this question: what about access to capital for minorities? What about access to capital for minorities? That's his question to you. Minorities.
So that I would say I would have for to capital for those businesses.
Hold on just a minute. Caller, you're live on the air, KABF. Okay. It was a wrong call.
Okay, they actually knocked me off.
That knocked you off? Okay.
Yeah.
You keep talking and now
Okay.
I'll figure this out.
So let me back up and talk about my economic development plan. So in economic development, we have to have the investment in infrastructure. So I believe in developing regional economic development hubs. For instance, you have I just visited Helena with the port, the Slack Harbor port over there. Investing in those regional economic hubs will provide opportunities for all Arkansans. Going back to the issue of providing the capital for the loans, I do believe that there are grants that the Economic Development Commission could provide to ensure that those businesses do come alive and that we support them.
Okay, so that's the answer to your question for Lo. Hotel, yeah. And of course, Lo always is sending us life, prosperity, and health. And we want to make sure that we say thank you. We received that. Okay, so Lo responds to you and says, that says nothing about those who have been denied capital to grow their business. That says nothing about those who have been denied capital to grow their business. Do you want to respond to that?
Well, I mean, the thing about it is that we have that we can provide as a governor. I can provide the opportunities to provide those capital. I mean, the grants are there. We just have to prioritize the people. When you prioritize people, then you begin to actually think of different ways in which you can actually fund those opportunities.
And that seems to be like, I don't know if it's your campaign motto, but like, don't chase headlines. Like, you need to look at improving people, something like that, right?
I'm not into chasing headlines. I'm into actually making sure that people thrive.
And so basically what you're saying is that in order to actually make a difference in this area of economic development, to give minorities, many people hate that word, access to capital, you're saying when I become governor, I can do that, right? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
I'm definitely saying when I become governor, I can do that. Here's the thing. There are multiple opportunities within the ADC that we can actually provide. It's just the fact that people are not prioritized right now. And I cannot say it any different in any planet than that. That people are not prioritized. What we're doing is prioritizing business of people. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure, and we have to have a conviction to take those opportunities and make sure that the people are receiving them and not just the businesses.
Toney, do you want to say something before I ask another question?
Yeah. You know, my question is this to you, Senator. Just like this government on a national level, and just like this state government here locally, if you become governor, unless there by some, I don't want to use the term miracle, but just by some coincidence that there's a shift in the majority in the Senate and in the House to Democratic or Independent or however, how are you going to be able, if it doesn't shift, you would be a Democratic governor dealing with a Republican legislation? And one of the things, we talked about this before we came on the air, is how this governor has, in this legislative body, has pushed, going back to the Lawrence Act, it just shoved it down my throat because there was nothing there to stop. So how would you be able, if elected governor, how would you be able to get past that that legislative supermajority that is going to try to make these decisions and push these bills? It's great that you have these ideas. It's great that you have this goal. It's great that you're trying to push for this, but how are you going to get it done if the legislators don't allow you to do it?
So first of all, as a Democrat, you have to have the conviction to make sure that you're going to carry out what you do. Now, one thing I would say about Donald Trump is he has a conviction, and the executive order, the power of that pen, we're going to have to use it. And so I would say this: if we do not have the conviction to actually sign the executive orders, for instance, then we're going to end up losing our way again. I mean, I get elected, I know that I know what I have to do. Now, of course, you can't do that all with executive order, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that you can do with executive order. Secondly, is that I have relationships in the legislature being there, that I've been there for 15 years. I spent 12 years in the House, 3 years in the Senate. I have both relationships in and out the House. I mean, if you looked at the bills that I passed this year, it passed unanimously. And so you have to have relationships as well. And so I would work on the relationships, but I also would have the conviction to do what I need to do. And if that means the executive order, then I would do executive order on the issues.
And so I want to get back to your faith, because I'm just telling you how I read the website. Okay, so I'm not telling you what you said. I'm telling you how I read what I received as I was going through your website. One of the things that I saw, well, one of the comments that I made, the notes that I took in my journal was that, well, I see that you are aligned with our present governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, as it relates to faith, because faith is a big deal to her too. Faith is also a big deal to those who are pushing for Christian nationalism. And faith is also a big deal for people who push for white nationalism. And so when you look at the core beliefs of white nationalism, which sometimes overlaps with Christian nationalism, what they want to do is make sure that our country is governed by the laws that they believe God, through Christ, has given us the authority to establish in this land. And so that's one of their core beliefs. And so when I read this statement from your website, it gave me pause, because here's what you say. Fred believes people themselves are walking blessings, called to be the hands and feet of Christ in the world. People themselves. which suggests to me that perhaps you are also one of those ones who would like to see this be a Christian country, because you said people themselves. So all of us walking around are walking blessings, and all of us walking around are called to be the hands and feet of Christ in the world. So what does that mean for people as the people that don't believe in Christ? Like, what does that mean for those of us who have no religion? What does that mean for people who have a different religion? So this push for Christianity, I just wanted you to respond to that, but hold on just a minute. Caller, you're live on the air, KABF 88.3 FM. Thanks for calling.
You know, y'all really get off us a few stuff before. You know, guys, people have faith, people have belief. But if you have a faith and a belief, that really means you don't know. You need pure, factual knowledge to set you free. Now, Sophia, I don't know what you want to get into that. Sophia introducing you to spark in you, which produces the Christ in you, the divine in you. You know, we have a long way to go if we are going to have heaven on earth. In heaven, there's a term in there, it's evil. People don't really realize we don't own nothing. You didn't come here with nothing, you're not going to leave with nothing. But the masses of the people up here, with the power, is controlling the people down here, and we are constantly dependent on. They give you one medicine for this, and that same medicine causes 10 different side effects, so you got to go get 10 more different medicines. People have to wake up out of ignorance of what's really going on and stand up and put a stop to it. There's no sense in nobody suffering for anything on this planet. Period. You shouldn't have to be self-instructed. If people go to work every day and can't even pay their bills. People ain't just laying around. If you don't want to do nothing, that's another thing. You got people out here working hard. And all they get is pushed down further and further and further. That's not even, and that's not, I don't care what religions say, that's the way it's supposed to be. What they need to do is check out the religion and the God that they got the religion from. Because the God of love don't do this. So you need to check your religious ways out. There's no way in the hell the God of love won't this. That just don't work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, caller. Two things you made me think about. First of all, we think about Arkansas. Many Arkansans are what we call ALICE, asset limited, income constrained, and employed. And so this myth out there that people who need assistance, who need social programs, is because they're lazy, because they don't work. That's not the case at all. And the caller just reminded us of that people they have jobs. People are working hard and they still are not able to make ends meet because of the policies and the laws and the legislation that's being passed. So we thank you for that, for reminding us of that, caller. And then for you to talk about Sophia. I know about Sophia. I haven't heard anybody say anything about Sophia, who is, for those of us who have delved a little deeper into Christianity and we've done a little more research, we understand Sophia to be the third person of y'all's Trinity that you say is Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, but actually it would be God the Creator, Jesus the Redeemer, and Sophia the Sustainer, because she is the Holy Spirit. And so but people don't teach that, people don't preach that, because again, in this world, we want it to be patriarchal. We want to continue to push and perpetuate sexism. And so everything has to be in line with that. And that's what Solar Beam always reminds us of that like it's a whole bunch of systems that they are affecting, by the system of white inhumanity is affecting, and they use these tools, and religion is one of those tools. And so thank you, caller. I'm just excited you said Sophia. Okay, so let's get back, because I asked you the question about faith, because you said people themselves.
So let me because you keep saying that I'm aligning myself with.
I said you are aligned, because all I mean is you believe the same thing.
Well, okay. But
because both of y'all are Christians.
When you say you're aligned, no, I'm not aligned. Here's the thing that I do want to say about my faith, because I truly believe that my faith is strong and I'm going to stand on it. But my faith also teaches me to love thy neighbor as thyself. And so I'm going to treat people the same way that I want to be treated. I'm going to fight for people the same way I would like somebody to fight fight for me. So when you begin to say align, I think, whether you use that loosely or not.
Oh no,
think,
I'm using it intentionally because you
I
said
don't-
people themselves are walking blessings,
And they
called to be the hands and feet of Christ, which means all the people are called to be the hands and feet of Christ. So then, what about those people who don't believe in Christ? Hold on, just a minute.
Hold on. You can still have. Go ahead.
Do you mind?
No.
No, that's all right. I don't want you to lose your thought. Go ahead. See that? That's my fault. I should not have said anything. But this is what Lo says: only if you are a Christian, all other faiths are minimized, that's what I hear in this statement.
No, that is incorrect.
Okay.
I don't minimize anybody's faith. I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in, and so I don't minimize their faith. What I'm saying is this: is that we are all called to be the hands and feet. We are somebody's blessing. We don't know whose blessing we are. But for me and my house, what I pray for is that God will put somebody in my way each day that I can be a blessing to them. I don't know how I will be a blessing, but for me to be a blessing. And so if I could do that, then I am fulfilling the commandment that He gave me. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not, for me to be kind to you, for me to be a blessing to you. You don't have to be a Christian for me to be a blessing to you.
That's not my concern. I'm not concerned about you in your personal life. I'm concerned about the fact that if you say that all people themselves are blessings and all people are called to be the hands and feet of Christ, if that's your conviction, you started this conversation with conviction. If that's your conviction and now you are in office, you are going to politic through your conviction. And so this push to make this country Christian, that is in alignment with what Senator Sarah Huckabee Sanders says, with what white nationalism says, with what Christian nationalism says. And so that's my concern. What you do in your house, that's not what I'm concerned about.
So I mean, here's my thing. As I said, Christianity is my faith. I don't see I'm aligned with Sarah Sanders, but I mean, if that's the way you like to take it, I mean, you have every right to take it that way. But what I am saying is this: is that I truly believe that each and every person should be and is a blessing to someone else. That's what I truly believe in. I truly believe that we are walking blessings and that we are blessed to be a blessing to someone else. Whether you're a Christian or not is irrelevant to whether I should bless you or not.
Okay, so here's what Lo says. Lo says, Christ is not Jesus's name. And then he goes on to say Christ is a title. Yes, many of us, thank you, Lo. Many of us do believe that. The way that we talk about Jesus Christ, some people actually feel like Jesus is Christ's first name and Jesus is the first name and Christ is the last name, as if it's patterned after what humans do. And so Lo is calling us to realize that Jesus is a name that was given, but Christ is the title given to Jesus, Christ being the one who saves. So then Lo says this: Jesus himself was not a Christian, but a Jew. So it sounds like Lo giving us a one-on-one in basic Christianity. Okay, we appreciate all of that, Lo. I feel like I need to ask Toney if he has something to say before we keep going.
I think just like what we're watching in this country, just like what we're watching in this world, it's so easy to get in the weeds. It's so easy to go down the rabbit hole. The one thing I believe, that I think there are a lot of people who ascribe to this, and Senator, you said something that I think is the focal point of all this. It really doesn't matter what title. It really doesn't matter what society try to push in. There are some principles. There are some principles of God that we all should ascribe to. However you look at who God is, however you feel about who God is, there are some principles. We should be a blessing to others. In other words, we should be looking out for those who need help. We should be looking out for those who are homeless. We should be looking out for those who need health care. We should be looking out for those who need shelter. We should be looking out for children who need better education. That's the whole thing. I think sometimes we get caught up in all this, the peripheral, and we miss the basic substance. And I think we're all coming at it in different ways. But at the end of the day, going back to what going back to the focus of what started this conversation, what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me lately? You know, regardless of what I believe, I need to see some work you're doing. I need to see what are you doing. And it does not matter what my faith is. If I can see you doing something that's going to benefit humanity, then that's where I need to go with. And I think that's the whole key. What are we going to, and I guess to me, the big question to you, Senator, is what are you going to do? What's the work you're going to put in for all of us, regardless? What is the work that's going to be put in?
Okay, so my three basic, my three main cores of my campaign is economic development, is public health, and public education. Starting with the public education, we have to protect our public education system. We have to stop vouchers. We're taking money out of our school system and we're pumping them into private schools. That is something that is killing our system, right? And so we must stop any and all voucher schemes. That's just something that we must do. This is killing not only our local schools, but our rural school systems. When you kill school systems in a community, you actually kill the community. Secondly, let's talk about what Democrats are fighting for right now at the federal level, which is the government shutdown is really based on the credits that were the health education credits and the health care credits, and also protecting the Affordable Care Act. We understand that when people are not covered, then it's going to be more expensive, and that's the premise of the Affordable Care Act, to make sure that everybody can have as much health care as we like, and it's provided really to everyone, especially for those who cannot afford health care. But that also impacts people that are buying private insurance. So we need those health care credits to be sustained. In protecting Medicaid, that's one of my key things. Protecting Medicaid. You know, at the height of our Medicaid system, we had almost 1.3 million people. We have 1.3 million people covered. As of right now, after the big beautiful bill, we'll have about 600,000 people covered. We have already taken about 430,000 people off the rolls, and we're slated to take another 200,000. You need a governor that's going to be there that cares about that. And so that's what, when I talk about my faith, I'm not talking about aligning with Sarah Sanders. I'm not talking about aligning with anybody else. I'm talking about making sure that I'll live out my faith. That's what I mean by that, Dr. Danielle.
And I think that you can call me Denise. I think that this is part of my problem for Toney. Like, so you want to take religion off the table. It doesn't matter what you believe, but in the country that we are in right now, we've got LGBTQ youth. We've got lesbian youth, young adults, young children who are teenagers, young adults who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or queer. They are put out of their, 70% of them are put out of their house, evicted from their own homes because of the religion of their parents, which is Christianity. When we think about people who are living in a trans experience, especially Black women of trans experience, her very existence is threatened just by her walking out the door, and that's rooted in somebody's religion, which is Christianity. So for you to act like it doesn't matter, it does matter. And so when you say, Senator, hold on just a minute, when you say this about all people, that's the only point I wanted to make. I just wanted to make sure that you are not saying, well, my faith is going to make is what's going to drive me to make these policies, because those policies that are being written through the lens of faith are hurting the very people that you say we should be supporting. So that's the only reason I wanted to have the conversation.
Hold on, Dr. I'm gonna have to push back on that
Go, please.
because my faith tells me to treat a person the way I want to be treated. All this stuff that they're talking about, this nationalism stuff, that is not of faith. That is something that they want to subscribe to, and they want to try to use it. And that's not what I subscribe to. If I say that to love thy neighbor as thyself, then that means I'm going to, if I love myself, I'm going to love you the same. And I'm going to provide the same for you. I'm going to do the same for you. I'm going to treat you the same. Now, you have been at the Capitol, and you've been in the battle with me.
I have.
And you know that I have fought
I've seen
I've
you. I've absolutely seen you.
So I kind of feel like I'm being a little attacked here because you know my record.
Yes, but not everybody. You're not just talking to me.
Okay.
You got this is a global streaming platform, and here you are. You have an opportunity to present to the people.
Here's the thing. You know, and I mean, over the years in public health, you know my record. You know my voting record. You know, and I'm saying this. I'm saying this to say that. You know my voting record.
I do,
you know
but you're not talking to me, Senator. You're talking to everyone who is listening. Do they know your record?
They do not. They do not. You're right. Okay. So, but the thing about it is this: is that I have stood in the gap and I have fought. I fought all those bills. As a matter of fact, when I first announced, they put out something that says, "I'm free of love loves trans," because of the bills that I have supported. Here's the thing about it. Yes, I do. I love trans. I love all people. I've actually, when I was over at Pulaski County and I'm doing housing, I work with Lucy's Place. I work with all groups. You know why? Because my faith drives me to treat people as I would like to be treated. Because it's you know what? What if that was my child? How would I want someone to treat my child? And so that's the perspective when I say that my faith drives me. That's the perspective that I will say I want people to see. Because the thing about it, you're right. Not everybody knows that I fought for pay equity for women. Not everybody knows that I fought to actually provide housing, not only for Lucy's Place, but for a myriad of persons. And so, to me, when you subscribe, I'm gonna say, or when people subscribe, that hatred, no, that's what people are doing and using it and trying to weaponize. That's not what true Christianity is. That is not what true Christianity is. It is actually looking at somebody and saying, that is a child of God, that is my brother and sister, and I should treat them the way I want to be treated.
And that's the spirit of Sawubona, and the spirit of oneness that binds us together because we are human. And so that's good to hear, Senator. But I want to ask some more questions. But the first one I want to ask is, what do you might have answered it a little bit with this last answer that you gave, but what sets you apart from the present governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders? What sets you apart from this governor? What could we hope for if we vote for you and you get into that office that would be different from what we're seeing right now?
Well, I mean, of course, my economic policy, because of the fact that I'm looking to expand access to good paying jobs everywhere, and not just a few select places. I mean, we see that it's going to Little Rock, and I'm glad that it's going to Little Rock. We see we're growing jobs in Northwest Arkansas, and I'm glad. But there's parts and pockets of the state that are left out. And when I began to talk about regional economic hubs, I talk about places like, as I said, Slackwater Harbor in Helena. If we were to actually invest in those places, right? If we were to invest in those ports in Pine Bluff, when we invest in those like we do in Little Rock, I tell you what, when you begin to create jobs and provide people with opportunity, then actually people can thrive, families can thrive. But also, I don't want to take away from investing in entrepreneurship and apprenticeships. And I think from an economic development standpoint, we can actually take some of that money money, not just to big companies, but to actually small businesses so that they can thrive. And so, but number two, my educational policy is just going to be different from Sarah Sanders. It is just that different. We need to also invest more in mental health services for our children. I was talking with some youth at Boys State, and some of those children are suffering just from the mental health aspect. Multiple children pulled me aside, and they were saying, hey, they're from small rural communities, and they did not have the services that we just regularly think about kids having. Also, my passion and what I really started my public service career with the Arkansas Food Bank is making sure that the kids are fed. I used to do a Backpack for Kids program. I used to do Kids Cafe. Those things are important. So what we see in the food insecurity space is deplorable, and I think that Arkansas can do better.
Do you mind if I take a call?
No,
They've been calling. Caller, you're live on the air, KABF.
Whoever it be of you, the term Jesus, if I looked at the ancient man, that wasn't his name. The vibration of Jesus is a different vibration of frequency that you use. Everything have a vibration to it, and each you can use his own name. Now, in that book, I think somewhere it says that many should come and say, I did this in your name, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I'm going to tell them to get the hell away from me. Because you're practicing a bloodthirsty religious way. It's not like what Yahshua would teach. It's not what Bob James, I believe, said, faith without works
is dead.
He wasn't no Jew neither, whoever that was. Now, if you're not going to do what he was doing, you're going to support the government, govern your mentality the way you think. Religion, as we have it all over the planet, does the same thing to the people. It don't bring out the divine in oneself. It don't teach that. They got books out here all about what real Jesus Yahshua was taught. I don't hear them being taught in the church houses. How are you going to raise a child right if you don't teach him right? How the people, that's what I mean, the world of ignorance is coming to an end. People are going to know the truth and know how to really live. These little games you play with religions and I'm my faith and all this, you know, that stuff don't mean nothing to me. You gonna support a religion that you know damn well is wicked. I push back on that. Just say you are doing some good according to what you know. I don't support the government. I don't support Democrat, Republican, or none of them. Because I see what they're doing to the people. And people have to wait. If people wake up and get to activate the spark, we would change it almost overnight. People have to change their thing to get on a different higher frequency of vibration to kill this stuff. That's what has to happen. The ladies ain't gonna do it. You write all laws in the world. They got so many laws, people on even the people who write the laws don't know all the damn laws. That law is just law, money, oppress. That's all we doing. And that's it.
Thank you, caller. Yeah, so I was really concerned about that with the senator, and that's why I wanted to see if we can't parse that out. And I think, and I'm not trying to speak for you, Senator, but I think you've made it crystal clear that the faith that you espouse is your faith. You're not going to be proselytizing, trying to convert people to Christianity. You're not going to be legislating through, because you are a Christian, and making sure that everybody's legislated through Christ. You are going to you're going to lead based off your character, and your faith just happens to be one part of your character. Do I hear you? Because I'm trying to get away from religion. But that's what I hear you saying. That I want to, the spirit of Sawubona, that you're going to lead, because everybody, human to human, what we need as humans, we're going to treat everybody right because we're human, not because of anything else. And so this, here's Chase. Chase says not all Christians agree. That's why they have different denominations, judged based off character. And then Chase comes back and says, oh, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, okay. I feel like you're saying the same thing, Chase. Not all Christians agree. That's why there are different denominations. Be mindful of a person's character. Yes, and so that was Senator Love's pushback to me. Wait a minute. You talking about what you see on my website? Talk about what you know about me. And what I needed you to do was tell people who don't know about you. And so we only have a couple of minutes. I feel like Toney hasn't said too much, so I want to make sure that you have some words, Toney.
And I think you said it a second ago. I think we get caught up, as I said before, in religion and all these other things, and we stop and fail to look at the person. We stop and fail to look at what someone is doing. The worst thing in this world to me is the labels we put on people to try to come up with an identity for those people. So I think that may be something that we may have to look into. And I do agree with the call, when the people wake up and when the people start to be enlightened, then things will move differently and can change things.
So we got just like 1 minute, Senator. I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to give us some closing words, maybe something you wanted to say that you didn't say.
Well, I will tell you this, that as I stated before, my faith is strong, and I stand on my faith, right?
Yes, you've made that clear. You've made that clear.
My faith is to make sure that I treat others as I would like to be treated, and that's I can only stand on that. Okay. Now, as far as what Christian nationalism and all that stuff is, I will tell you this: is that I do not subscribe to that. That is not of, and I don't believe that is of the Christian faith. I just do not, and I think we begin to lose our mark when we allow for that nationalism and stuff to actually say that's what true Christianity is, because it's not.
Yeah, so I think what I would offer to you, Senator, is that maybe to take a closer look at what the words are, because what you're saying to me is not what a person can read on your website. And if that's all they have to go on, then they're not going to be as supportive as you would like them to be. And so people who know you, they ain't even tripping, right? But not everybody does. And so I think that because that's where I think some of the confusion comes in with what you're saying and what we're reading. Two different things. Thank you so much for joining us for Community Voices. You have been live right here at KABF 88.3 FM. Your girl Lola is right outside the doors, ready for 2 hours of Jazzy Tuesday that you don't want to miss. And I'm going to get her started. Tim sent me another song. Tim, you are breaking me down these days. Tim sent this song, A Mother's Love by Zania Monet, that AI-generated voice from Tanisha Nikki Jones. And this is called A Mother's Love. See y'all next time.